Well, howdy folks, Hellcracks here, and welcome to Mercenary Thoughts from the Inner Sphere, episode 97. And today we're going to be talking about the Demolisher Heavy Tank, the 80-ton tank that, well, you don't like to see in a dark alley anytime, because, yikes. Alright, the 80-ton tank, the Demolisher, is a 350. Does not have any jump jets. Yes, you can put jump jets on a tank. It's interesting. Like, was it the Kanga that had one? Something like that. Has jump jets. Now, not that why I'd ever do it, but hey, it is possible. Alright, it carries around 160 points of armor. Comes in at a battle value of around 1,070 points. And it carries around 2 AC-20s in the turret and 4 tons of ammo in the body. Alright. Well, for just a little bit, almost less than 1,100 points, you can bring one of these things into a game. Or the equivalent of one good Atlas with a good pilot in it. You can bring 2 of these and still have points left over. And let me tell you, the Atlas will not like seeing one of these things coming at it, especially if it's in range. Why? Because, well, 2 AC-20s is nothing to sneeze at. If you get this thing within the 9 hex range, it will tear you a new one if it hits. Because, well, there's one game, I guess there's quite a few games I can just keep going on about. Well, there's one game where I had a Demolisher, pair of them that were in a wood hex, sneaking up, and this guy had his Locust, and he comes flying up, and I needed really high, I think I need 11s and 12s to hit, and I thought, alright, firing both of them, what the heck, you know, it's, these things usually don't last very long, because, well, you got only 160 points of armor, and it doesn't take very long to either get motive hits on these things, or just take them out, because, well, you got 40 points of armor plus your internal structure, and so it doesn't take long to tear one a new one, or just pillbox it so where it can't move. But this guy comes up and he moves up right up close to me. He's going to kick me, thinking, you know, it's like, geez, you need 11s and 12s. There's no way he's ever going to hit. And I'm like, well, okay, you're the only thing in range, and the odds are me blowing through 10 rounds with this thing. It's typically, if you get this thing after 10 rounds and it's clicking dry in the ammo bay, somebody just totally ignored you, or else you just never got into the fight very well. But it's beside the point. But he has his little Locust, and I fired. It's like rolled 11 and a 12, both hit. And I was like, okay. So I rolled both of them. They both hit in the left arm, and it just went right on through. It was like first one blew off like the right arm, the right torso. I think with some left over into the center. And then the next one went right into the center torso, and there was with some spare going out the back side. And it just totally obliterated this poor Locust. He just kind of looked at me flabbergasted. I'm like, oh my God. So he's like, yep, it can work. And I remember I was playing this one game. This one was against my son. And I had a Demolisher, and he comes running up with a, was it a Stinger, I think it was. And I just put one, I needed a 12 to hit, and I was like, oh, what the heck, you know. So I just rolled a 12 right into the center, and then hit center torso, and just cored out this poor little Stinger. Maybe it was a Wasp, one of the two. And it was gone, just like that. One click away, and it's just a burning Hulk on the ground. So, like I've always said, typically, if you are running a Demolisher, it's going to be a gambling kind of tank, because, you know, you got to get really close with that AC-20 to do any type of work with it. But if you hit with it, my gosh. And a lot of games when you're playing with these things, a lot of them I'm running around, it's like, instead of taking a couple medium tank or medium mechs, I might take a Demolisher or two, just for the funs of it. and just kind of look at the terrain and say, all right, what's the best way to get these things up to the front without getting shot at? Because when you're a 3-5 mover, you're not moving very fast. That's for darn sure. And you're always looking for, okay, what can I do to mitigate the problem of getting shot at before you even get into range? Because when you only got a 9 hex or 9-inch range with your guns, and everybody's looking at you going, huh, I'm going to unleash on you with some LRMs. Because if you got, let's say, an LRM carrier on one side, and they look at you and they say, all right, I'm going to hit you with the LRM carrier. An LRM carrier can take this thing out in one shot. And one turn and it's gone. It's like if all 60 missiles hit, it's done. Done dinner. That's pretty much it. The odds are all 60 hitting are probably slim. You're most likely you're going to do 36 or so, maybe. Or 40, somewhere in there. That's typically how much damage you're going to do. But even if you do 40 and it all hits the front slope, you know, you're going to be exposed, and you hit with something else, it's gone. So in 2 turns, you can tear one of these things and remove it from the game. So you always got to look at cover and concealment with these things because there's no way it can answer back until it is within 9 hexes. So I always look at, all right, if I move through here, it's like you look at the board and you say, okay, I got woods here, what terrain feature there, or hill or something I can hide behind until I can just get into the fray. Because by the time it gets into range, that's when you got, I always like to call it the rugby scrum, is that when everybody's in punching, kicking, biting type activity towards the center someplace or one of the flanks, when this thing finally does show up because it's trundling along, and it's like, oh, looky over there, that's say an assault mech that has a lot of armor ripped off, and this thing hits, it's probably going to go right into internal structure someplace and just remove body parts, you know, when it hits. Because the odds are when individuals are in the rugby scrum, the punching, kicking, they don't have hardly any modifiers to begin with. You might have a +1 or +2 if you're lucky. So the odds are you hitting are really good. So that's where you're going to be on the receiving end of some unfortunate AC-20 love. Now, let's just talk about, there is some variant that they talk about here, is that they call it the Devastator, which is, now this has the original Demolisher has an internal combustion engine, which isn't bad. That makes it cheap. But you could put a 240 fusion engine on this thing, which is a pretty common size engine. And then if you do that, which they call the Devastator version, is it gives it 3 small lasers, a Zippo flamer, and a SRM-6. When I look at that, I think they have to tear some armor off of it to even do that, because it's like 5.5. Yeah, you got to tear some armor off. I'm not in favor of taking any more armor off of them, but if you do, it gives it, well, the SRM-6 is nothing to sneeze at. You know, you hit somebody with 2 AC-20s and follow up with an SRM-6 with a cluster rounds, and you're usually going to hit with 4. The odds are you might probably get some good chances of doing some criticals here and there if the AC-20 themselves don't do criticals. Because you get 20 points of damage in one spot, and most mechs, it's, you know, you're looking at internal structure being exposed or an arm or something blown off. Like if you get into any light mech, get an AC-20, that arm or leg is gone, and yeah, you're not going to be too happy about it. But now, speaking of variants, there is one thing I have done in the past with these Demolishers. You know, it's not very popular, but I have in the past removed the 2 AC-20s, or removed 1 AC-20, and well, typically what I do is I remove both AC-20s and put 2 AC-10s on. Yeah, you're not have as much firepower, but I would put an LRM-5 on board, and that gives it some fire support while it's moving up. kind of, it's not really a big change when it comes to, you know, the amount of output it can do. Is that you're going to get probably 2-3 more turns of AC 10 damage versus the AC 20. And if you're picking on the same mech or tanks, then yeah, you're gonna do some pretty good damage. There's nothing to complain about. You're getting maybe 2-3 turns of 2 shots with an AC 10. That's 60 more points. It's one of those things where, yeah, robbing Peter to pay Paul type thing. But it ends up being not a bad deal when you look at it that way. And with an LRM5, at least you can do some indirect or something while you're trundling up. And if you've got the AC 10 on there, yeah, you're at least 15 hexes away. Nothing to complain about. Now, another version I have done in the past, like when I was playing a Mercenary company and we had a couple Demolishers get hurt. And it's like, okay, I got some AC 10s laying around, but I still have AC 20s on board. And say one of the guns got taken out, I replaced one of the guns with, say, has an AC 20 still, and replaced one of the damaged ones with an AC 10. So I still have something that goes out to 15. I got something that's at short range, and then that left me with a little bit extra weight. What do I do? Usually it's like I would put 2 tons, obviously, towards the ammo, so it can shoot at least 20 times. But that's 2 tons left over, and a lot of times I would throw it on to more armor. So it increases the armor on board by another 32. So you're looking at it with 192 points of armor on board. Yeah, that's not bad. Now, in the past, when it was like you're talking about the Devastator version, you can do the one version, putting a fusion reactor on and leave the AC 20s on, and then I would, instead of the SRM6, put in a LRM5 on board. That way I can have some long range shooting. So it's basically the same mech, but a fusion reactor, or same tank with a fusion reactor with an LRM5 on board. And then with the little bit extra weight you got, I would put on a couple more medium lasers. You got the fusion reactor, why not? And another version I have done is I replace the internal combustion engine with a fusion reactor, put 2 AC 10s on, and then replace the extra tonnage that you have and put 4 medium lasers, which in turn is equivalent of an AC 20. So really you still have the same damage output, but you're able to shoot a little bit farther. That's not a bad deal either. And so you got something up close with the medium lasers. That's one thing I do like about medium lasers. It's not an overt issue when it comes to it, but you are able to roll a lot of times. Is that instead of just rolling once with a big gun, you're getting 4 shots at doing at least some type of damage. You may not hit with everything, but what you do is you're kind of gambling. More rolls give you more chances to hit something, and I'd rather hit something than nothing. That's kind of like the thought process. So that is, and it's kind of a ramble here, but kind of a thought process is what I'm going through when I'm thinking about some of these. But now, where this vehicle really does shine is a standard Demolisher. If you have a couple of them, or even 4 of them, like I have like 8 of them, I think. You get into a city fight, and where everything is short range, point blank range, you get 4 of these in a city fight. Anything that comes around a corner, they don't want to be on the receiving end of these things, because 4 of these guys, that's 8, getting hit with potentially 8 AC 20s. even an Atlas is gone. You know, because the average roll you're going to be a 6, 7, and 8, so that's all in the center, right and left torso. And you take that much damage in those 2 torso or 3 torso areas, and they're probably gone. The odds are a lot of times it's like you put 3 or 4 AC-20s into one spot. You know, we're talking doomsday. But that is pretty much everything when you think about the Demolisher. It's a good tank. I like using it. It has a potential for doing a lot of damage, or it can be taken out pretty quickly. So if I see one of these that are out in the open, especially if you're playing a large map and they're in the open and I got lots of stuff, I'm like, okay, I am going to take them out really quick. Same thing if I ever see a Shrek PPC carrier, an LRM carrier out in the open, they can be shot at. I'm going to end them really quick because they don't have a lot of armor. And that's one of the downside. With great big guns come most of the times not a lot of armor to go with it. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoy this. Like and subscribe, share it with your friends, and we will talk with you later. Alcrex out.